we were then offered a berth in the Titanic, which absolutely delighted my father. I thought it was wonderful. The whole world was talking about that ship. And my mother had this dreadful premonition. She'd never had one before, and she never had one after. But she said, no, we can't do this. It's quite wrong. Something dreadful will happen.
Well, we came to a sudden stop. That's the first I knew about it. It was just like jamming your brakes on a car. There was no impact, no great impact. You couldn't feel. It was just a bit of a shudder, then she stopped.
And I noticed a slight jar, followed immediately by a second one, and a third one, which was quite strong enough to make me hold on to the bedpost. The boat came to a full stop. I walked forward to my window and saw a greyish-white mass drifting by. I was very much surprised and decided to take my fur coat and go out on deck and see what it was all about.
Well, I didn't think she'd hit anything. I thought she'd dropped a blade from the propeller, you know.
She said it was just like a train pulling into a station. It just jerked. She wakened me, and my father said no, he wasn't going up on deck again after the night before. But my father went away and spoke to an officer, and he said, they are going to launch lifeboats, but you'll all be back on board for breakfast.
Iceberg? Gracious, I've always wanted to see one of those things since I was a child. Well, you're seeing it Corker now. After that, we picked up bits of ice, played snowballs for a little while, and it was very, very cold. I asked one of the officers if there was any danger. He said no, and I went back to bed.
They asked me if I knew where the distress rockets were. I said yes. They said bring them on the bridge. When Captain Smith saw me bring them up, he told me to fire one, and fire one every 5 or 6 minutes.
There was accommodation for less than 800 people in the lifeboats, and she was carrying 2,200. There wasn't any panic until the lifeboats left, and then there was panic galore. We were down on the ocean. We could hear them running about on the decks and screaming. You can imagine people came up from their cabin, went onto the deck, no lifeboat, tearing around the other side. That's when the panic was there. There wasn't any panic at the time I got in the lifeboat because there weren't enough people up there. But after that, when the others started coming up from their cabins and there were no boats, gosh, there was panic. We could hear it.
And then I went towards the lifeboats. I never had a chance to get in any one of them because the order was women and children first. So I decided to find my own salvation.
It was almost vertical when I left her. I was hanging onto the board that says keep clear propeller blades. But at the very end, I was lying on it. And then I let go and I just missed the propellers on the way down. And on my way back, I heard the band playing. And near I got to and them singing. But I had a life jacket on, and I had another one tucked under me and a cushion, and I was just paddling towards where I saw the lifeboats. At the end, it was chaotic at the end. Well, everybody was crying, praying, trying to get into the few lifeboats that were left. No, it was pretty sad at the end.
As I watched, I could see her bow getting deeper and deeper in the water, with the foremast sticking up above the surface, whilst her stern lifted higher and higher, till it was right out of the water. When she got to an angle of about 60 degrees, there was a sullen sort of rumbling roar, as her massive boilers all left their beds and went crashing down through the bulk's heads and everything that stood in their way.
Swiveled away from the ship, turned around to look at her, but down came the funnel and smashed into the water right in front of my face.
And we rowed away, and I didn't close my eyes at all. I saw that ship sink. And I saw that ship break in half. And we heard the dreadful sound of people drowning, which was,
When the boilers broke away, she was, of course, plunged into absolute darkness, though her huge black outline was still perfectly distinct up against the stars and sky. Slowly, she reared up on end, till at last she was absolutely perpendicular. Then, quite quietly, but quicker and quicker, she seemed just to slide away under the surface and disappear.
But the most dreadful sound of all is the sound of people drowning. The screams. Absolutely ghastly. But do you remember the silence that followed it? And that's quite right. It says the whole world stood still that night. Once the lights had gone, the ship had gone, the sound had gone. He said the whole thing was a tribute to man's arrogance. And I agree with that. That man can be so arrogant as to build something and claim that it is undestroyable, if you like. It's the most arrogant.